What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Ray's Reviews. I'm your host Joshua, and I will be reviewing episode 4 of Stargirl Season 3 entitled The Evidence. So the episode has not started yet. It's going to start in less than a minute, but I thought just to get the intro out of the way. So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and you hit the bell icon so you'll never miss another one of my videos. And if you like this video, if you like this video, smash that like button so I can do more of these videos, because I honestly love Stargirl. It's one of my favorite DC shows. And yeah, so I'll see you guys when the first commercial break comes up. Alright, so the first commercial break just came up, and pretty much this segment just followed pretty much exactly where the last episode left off, where Cosmo the staff went to go wake up Courtney to show her that Sylvester has been injured very badly by supposedly the killer. And because if you remember at the end of the last episode, something incredibly strong lifted up Sylvester and pretty much kicked his ass, and it roared, sounding like Grundy. So maybe it has a connection to Grundy. I don't know. And we see Pat. Why am I blanking out her name? We see Pat, Courtney, and Beth's mom. All three of them are talking about what happened to Sylvester, and they're really just trying to figure out what could have possibly happened to Sylvester. And then we cut to a scene where we see Yolanda talking to Rick, and Yolanda's thinking that, all right, if the killer went after Sylvester, maybe the killer's after all of them. And I really have a feeling that at some point in this episode, Yolanda's going to want to go after Cindy. Obviously, Cindy is really suspicious right now because of her having the gambler's laptop, but I feel like there's something else going on with Cindy. What else? And then we cut back to see Sylvester. Sylvester wakes up and he pretty much tells Courtney that their killer is very strong. And they both make a new deal, saying that if one person is not around when it's their time to use the staff, that person can use the staff. So if the next time Sylvester goes out and at night and Courtney's not there to use the staff, he will use the staff, and vice versa for Courtney during the day. And the segment of the episode ends with Dr. McNider coming back to possibly help Sylvester and see what the hell happened to him. And it really ended with someone having cameras on Sylvester, Dr. McNider, on Pat, and Courtney. Whoever this is very much so going to be the big villain of the season. It might be Mr. Bones. I don't know, because he was teased at the end of season 2, so I don't know, but we'll see what happens. All right, so we just got another commercial break, and in this last segment, we see Dr. McNider scan the injury that Sylvester had, and Dr. McNider pretty much tells Sylvester that the night that he died, the night that Sylvester died, the staff imbued some of its healing capabilities to Sylvester. So Sylvester now has the ability to heal because of the staff. He's not a living Cosmo, but he has the abilities to heal. So that's why he was able to come back to life. I don't know. It must have been when Cosmo was awoken by Courtney in season 1. That's when the healing process for Sylvester started, and that's how he was able to wake up and come back to life. That's what the story's telling us. Still don't fully buy it. Once again, I still don't fully trust Sylvester, but who knows? Maybe now this is where Sylvester's story will convince me that he's not very suspicious at all, because it's just something about Sylvester that's very throwing me off a little bit. And then we see Dr. McNider talk about him reconnecting with his son Stanley, who, if you guys didn't know, at the end of season 2, he found out about his son, and he is definitely trying to build a connection with his son after missing 10 years of it, I'd say. And then the segment of the episode ends with the JSA back at the trailer where the gambler was murdered, and they try to figure out if there's any new evidence. And right before they leave, Beth finds a little skin cell that was not Sylvester's skin cell, but it must have been the killer. So we're definitely going to see if the goggles are definitely going to give us more information on who the hell this killer is. There are definitely still a lot of suspects as to who it could be. It obviously could be Shiv, it could be Grundy somehow, or it could just be someone that we don't know who it could be. We just haven't seen yet. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Alright, so in this segment of the episode, we see Cameron, who I forgot to mention in the very beginning of the episode, the very beginning of the video. He's in his room, he's having tea. Well, his grandparents give him tea, and his grandfather takes away his art. And it's like, I'm just really trying to figure out, I'm really confused as to what Cameron's grandparents are trying to tell him. Like, I don't know if he knows if Courtney is Stargirl or everything of how his father Icicle really died. I don't know. I don't really know if they haven't really specified if they told him that, but if I don't know, they haven't really specified on that. But then we see Sylvester come back to the Dugan Whitmore house, and we see him and Pat talk about how the next generation, how Sylvester should have just moved on and let Courtney keep the staff, and Pat is telling him that, like, okay, you can still have a life. You had a life being Starman, and you gave up that life. You gave up a life protecting people, and he's saying that no one else would have done that, and that's very courageous of him. But now Sylvester is really stuck on trying to move forward. And I really hope that, like, if he is a good person, if he is really a good person, like, he'll hopefully in future episodes we'll see him start to evolve and start to grow and start moving on from being Starman. And then the segment of the episode ends with Beth and Chuck, Dr. McNider, them scanning the skin cell. And it pretty much, for Beth, it comes out as a non-human skin cell, and she's like, okay, that does not help us. But then, Dr. McNider says that skin cell has to deal with Dragon King, aka Cindy's father. If that means that Dragon King is alive, that pretty much means that pretty much every single member of the JSA or the ISA is alive, is alive, because the only one who's like dead is Jordan / Icicle. He's the only one who's officially dead. The Crocs, they're trying to reform. The Shade, he's trying to reform. Grundy, he's kind of dead. The Gambler, he's dead. So it's like, if Dragon King's alive, I'm just like, how is he alive? But I don't know. We'll see if this will actually be Dragon King, and it would actually make sense if it is Dragon King, and it would make sense why it would match up to Shiv / Cindy. So who knows? All right, now this was definitely a very long segment of the episode, so I'm just gonna try to quick fire around it. So pretty much the segment opened up with Courtney, Beth, Rick, and Yolanda all talking about how Dragon King could still be alive. Yolanda believes that Cindy could be working with Dragon King again, and Courtney pretty much explains to the others what she saw down in the Shadow Realm when they were facing Eclipso in Season 2, and she pretty much convinces, well, not fully convinced, I wouldn't say convince them, but she pretty much explains to them that Cindy would never work with Dragon King. And with Cindy, I'm very certain that Cindy's trying to find a cure for herself, because it looks like she's starting to turn into what her father is. She's kind of like turning into like a dragon. Because the way her eyes blink, they blink the exact same way like her father did in Season 1. So that's definitely not good for Cindy. Jakeem and Mike, they also hear that Dragon King could still be alive. And Mike says that they should go to the sewers to see if he's still there. And they try to use the Thunderbolt to wish for the keys to Stripe, but that fails miserably, and they end up spawning thousands upon thousands of keys. And then we see Barbara having her conference meeting about her proposal for a new park in Blue Valley, and the guy who has been like belittling her throughout the whole season so far agreed to her terms, and it was mainly because of Paula possibly threatening him, or possibly almost hurting him. And we see Paula in Barbara's office, and she gives her like this present, quote unquote, and it's like it's of a raccoon, I'd say. It's Paula is struggling so hard to be good, but it's actually like kind of fun to see her try to be good. Then we see Pat and Sylvester watch a old Western film, and we see Crusher come in and try to like make some type of amends with Starman, and Sylvester and Pat ask him if he wants to stay and have a beer and watch the old Western with them, and Crusher proudly says yes to it. And then the segment ends with Courtney talking to Cameron, and Cameron explaining that he is quitting art, and Courtney tries to convince him that he shouldn't, and that pretty much ends with Cameron's powers kind of going all over the place and kind of causing a ice explosion, with Courtney finding out that Cameron has his father's powers. And it's definitely going to be interesting. And I'm still confused on whether or not Cameron knows if Courtney is Stargirl and about all the stuff that happened in season 1. Alright, so for this segment of the episode, we see the aftermath of Cameron accidentally revealing his powers to Courtney. And he pretty much says that his grandparents have told him that their power has been passed on for generations, it's been their family for generations, and that they told him that Cameron needs to carry on the legacy of his father and of helping people. And obviously Cameron, and it's now been revealed that Cameron doesn't know who his father really was. He knows a part of it, but not entirely. He knows that his father was killed, but his grandparents didn't reveal how he died. And honestly, at this point, it's kind of good that he doesn't know, because he does really care for Courtney. He does really care for Courtney. So I think it should be a slow reveal, honestly. Because honestly, it's kind of Mike's fault that Icicle died, but I digress. And then this segment ends off with Pat kind of giving Sylvester back his Starman suit, and pretty much telling him to be a mentor to the kids, which he has been telling him for the past 4, for including this one, the past 4 episodes. I'm just like, okay, Pat, you don't need to tell him over and over again, but I don't know. All right, so the segment ended with Courtney and Cameron, and Cameron kind of mastering his powers a little bit, and who else? And Rick and Yolanda telling Sylvester that they're going to go to sewers to find the Dragon King, and it's pretty much confirmed that Cindy is turning into a dragon, which is definitely going to be interesting.